Becoming famous or wealthy has its downsides. When you're famous, you don't have much privacy and your safety is at risk because people are always watching you. This video features a list of rich people who have gone to great lengths to make their homes secure, so it's nearly impossible for anyone to enter without permission. With that said, here's a list of 10 heavily guarded homes. Now let's get started. Number 10. Fairfield Estate. The Hamptons is a place where the richest people spend their summer vacations and they bring a lot of money with them, which means they need to be secured. The Fairfield Estate, owned by billionaire Ira Rennart, is one of the safest homes in the area. This estate is worth a whopping $200 million, making it one of the most expensive in the United States. Also, Rennart has used most of his huge fortune to collect valuable art, and many of these precious artworks are displayed in his estate. Because these paintings are worth around $500 million, they need top-notch security. The estate has a super high-tech security gate, which means only invited people can enter the property, let alone the buildings. It also has windows that can be shot through and lots of security cameras to make anyone think about breaking in reconsider. Rennart is extremely careful about protecting his 21-bedroom mansion, and it costs him a pretty penny. Number 9. The Zombie Bunker. Even though there hasn't been a zombie apocalypse yet, some folks are getting ready just in case. There's a house in London known as the Zombie Bunker that's built to be super safe. It's made entirely of tough concrete, with walls that can move and thick iron sheets for extra protection. Even the windows are covered with strong concrete sheets. To get in or out, there's a drawbridge system, and that's the only way in or out. If you need to leave, you'll need to practice first to make sure you know how to use it. This shows that the architects were very careful about our safety. The building might not look fancy, but who cares about looks when there are zombies on the loose? At least you know where to go if you need a safe place. Number 8. Bill Gates' home. Bill Gates may seem like a nice and down-to-earth guy, but that doesn't mean you can just sneak into his house anytime you want. His home is one of the most expensive properties in the world, and since he's a computer expert, it's no surprise that it's a super high-tech mansion, just like we expected. To keep his electricity bills in check and to stay safe, he's got his house surrounded by lots of trees and plants. These also help keep noisy photographers and paparazzi from bothering him. Plus, he's got some security measures like mines and electrical fences to make sure nobody gets in without permission. Number 7. The Kardashians. Kim Kardashian, despite facing a lot of hate and a scary incident in Paris, has seriously ramped up her security. After letting go of her boyfriend Pascal Duvier, she didn't take any chances with her own home either. The security team looking after her place went through really thorough background checks, and only the best were hired. Anyone trying to enter her property has to get a security check beforehand. Instead of just one car, she's got a bunch of cars ready outside, and they switch around during her trips to make sure nobody is following her. Her property is covered in lots of motion detectors and hidden cameras. There's even talk of a super secure room with high-tech stuff in case something really bad happens, making her house as safe as Fort Knox. Number 6. Maximum Security Mansion. The name of this mansion is pretty accurate. The Maximum Security Mansion in Evergreen, Colorado is seriously well protected. It's a huge property covering 32 acres and has a security system worth $6 million, making other houses look pale in comparison. The coolest thing about this house is that if you have an Apple iPhone, you can log in and see what's happening inside through the cameras they've installed all over the place. Of course, you need the login details and permission from the security team. They've got a fancy thermal imaging system that can spot any footprints or marks within 20 minutes. So if you try to break in, you won't get very far. The house is filled with high-tech sensors that can tell you if something's wrong, like a bathroom flood or a kitchen fire, whether it's an accident or on purpose. Number 5. The Corby Family Residence. The Corby family lives in a fancy house in the Hollywood Hills of California, and they take their security very seriously. They've got high-tech stuff like fingerprint recognition and special techniques to prevent damage during earthquakes, which are common in California. To be extra safe, their house is built with super strong concrete that goes 30 feet underground in case there's a natural disaster. This means it can withstand things like nuclear or chemical attacks too. They even have an underground hideout with enough food and drinks to last them 6 months in case of an emergency. If there's an intruder, they don't need a phone to call the police. They can do it from anywhere in the house with just a few button presses. And in case things get really scary, they have a panic room stocked with security cameras that let them see the whole house. They can even release a fog to scare off burglars if they need to. Number 4. Ryeongsong Residence. You might wonder why anyone needs security in a strict place like North Korea, where even wearing blue jeans can get you in trouble. But let's talk about the Ryongseong residence in the northern part of North Korea, where the royal family lives. It's not just secretive, it's super safe. Kim Jong-un, the leader, has taken big steps to protect his home and his country. The residence is surrounded by an electrical fence, guards, and landmines. The walls are tough, made of iron and lead-infused concrete that can survive a nuclear explosion. There are secret tunnels to escape to other royal homes in case of trouble, and if someone somehow gets past all that, there are chemicals inside that are released when alarms go off. Number 3. Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace in London is a famous tourist spot, but it's also one of the safest places in the whole country, maybe even the world. When visitors come, some roads around the palace are closed, and the police take charge of keeping everything under control. This is because a guy named Michael Fagan once jumped the palace, so they're extra careful now. If you've been there, you've probably seen the famous changing of the guard ceremony. To make sure none of the guards fall asleep during their shift, they use a system where one guard rings a bell to wake up the next guard, and it goes on all night, covering the whole area. This way they stay alert and watch over the palace. Number 2. White House. Did you know that Barack Obama was one of the most protected presidents ever in American history? Because of that, the White House has all sorts of safety measures you can think of, and even some you can't. First, there's the iron fence around the White House. It might look ordinary, but it can stop any car, inside or outside, from crashing into the property. Special agents are always around to make sure only friendly people get in. They also check all the food outside the White House to make sure it's safe, and they do this somewhere else so nothing dangerous is on the property. The White House also controls the airspace, so helicopters can't get too close. And even if they do, the house has windows that can't be shot through, plus radars and sensors that can detect any movement even from miles away. Number 1. Kronstadt Fort Alexander I. Russians are known for being unpredictable. They built Fort Alexander I near St. Petersburg in Russia to keep intruders away. This fort is super hard to get close to, and there are about 40 forts nearby, but this one is the most secure. People have tried and failed to take it over, so they've given up because it's just too well protected. The military part of the fort has 12-meter-long piles that go deep into the ocean to make it strong. There are 5,535 of these pillars, so you can't knock them down. These piles have layers to make them even tougher. The first layer is sand, then concrete, and finally granite on top. Even though it's abandoned now, it's not a good idea to visit the fort for a day trip. And there you have it, guys, the most heavily guarded homes in the world. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to stay tuned for more amazing content. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.